I'd like to call this meeting of the Monticello City Council to order. Would you please rise and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance? Stay standing, and Rodney Burris will lead us in prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, Father, thank you so much for bringing us together. We thank you for the health and the ability to be here. We ask you to help us make great decisions. We love you and praise your name. Amen.
Amen.
Roll call, please.
Here.
Mr. Woodham?
Here.
Mr. Carey?
Here.
Lively?
Here.
Ms. Yoon?
Here.
Mr. Burris?
Here.
Mr. Broderick? Mr. Kuhn?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. In-person participation. This is an opportunity for the public to provide public comment to the presiding officer. Those wishing to speak are required to sign in prior to commencement of the meeting and must address council from the seat and table provided. The public comments must comply with ordinance 2014-02 and be limited to 5 minutes or less. This evening, we have Tom Piercy. Come up to the table, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know the rules. I'll be brief. I'm just coming this evening to ask the council if they would take into consideration a stop sign at the intersection of Main and Hamilton, for sure going south. Ever since I moved into the home that I live in, I've often felt like I'm going to have a car coming through my living room, which the speed that people fly down Main Street and avoiding the build sign on Hamilton. With the great improvement to Main Street, it seems like now people are going even faster and faster, oftentimes blowing the stop sign by Monarch, I believe that's Independence, accelerating to the point to where oftentimes they don't even stop at Buchanan when crossing over there. Last week, I happened to catch out of the corner of my eye, my neighbor was walking her dog, attempting to cross at Main and Hamilton, where she had to back up with her dog because somebody literally blew through that yield sign. And that to me was kind of the catalyst to think about this and come in and ask for this consideration. Another concern of mine is the number of children, small children that we have living in the 200 and 300 block of Main Street. Oftentimes kids being kids, I was one once, we have a tendency to overreact, maybe not think clearly, run out to the street, grab a ball, whatever, and that could be a huge, detriment. Then we factor in the funeral home, and if there's a visitation, memorial, funeral, Hamilton can literally be packed on both sides of the street, even in front of my house and on down. Then you factor in the apartment home on the corner of Hamilton and Washington. There are a minimum of 6 cars every day parked on Hamilton. That is their right. There's only so much space they have in the alley that they can park in. So I see that as another factor. When you go south on Hamilton, the majority of the intersections have stop signs. A couple of them have 4-way stop signs. Being honest, I wouldn't be opposed to a 4-way stop sign going in there. Another thing, I had this conversation before when I was on council, not so much with everybody in this room. And I do know there are certain things that need to take place in order for something like this to be done. I believe the first thing that has to be done is what's called an engineering study, or in the case of a stop sign, they call it a warrant study to see, does this intersection warrant a stop sign? Based on some of the information I did, those can typically be done in a 6 to 12 week time frame with a total timeline of about 3 to 6 months. I think that would be amazing if we could get that done. I did also find out that you can't just put up a stop sign or change the speed limit, because that could be deemed unenforceable if you do not have the engineering study completed to warrant that change. So in a nutshell, I'm just asking that you guys take this into consideration, take a drive down south on Hamilton, see how the other intersections are with stop signs and go from there. I think it would really be a huge safety concern for the neighborhood and the community. All right, thank you very much.
Remote participation. This is an opportunity for the public to provide public comment to the presiding officer. The public comments must be limited to 5 minutes or less. At this time, members of the public are able to attend public meetings by web conference and to submit public comment by email, voicemail, or through web conference. Is there anyone tonight, Maura?
There is not.
Thank you. Turn the page. Consent agenda, approval of the documents and action items as listed. Claims report, claims dated February 10th, 2026 through February 23rd, 2026. Meeting minutes, city council meeting minutes, February 9th, 2026. City council closed session meeting minutes, February 9th, 2026. Planning and zoning board meeting minutes, January 2026. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as proposed?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions of city staff? Hearing or seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Woodham?
Yes.
Mr. Carey?
Yes.
Ms. Lively?
Yes.
Ms. Yoon?
Yes.
Mr. Burrs?
Yes.
Mr. Broderick?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhn?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Mayor's report, February 23rd, 2026. After 7.5 years, Hartfield Book Company has announced they will be closing at the end of May. This business was a tremendous asset to the downtown as Monticello's independent bookstore, and we wish owner Nicole Stewart best and thank her for her contribution to downtown. Upcoming events. The Monticello Community Blood Drive will be tomorrow, February 24th from 12 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. at the Monticello Community Building. Appointments can be made by calling 1-800-RED CROSS. Donors will receive a $20 e-gift card to their choice of merchant. The council is invited to attend Connect After Hours at the Main Scoop in Monticello, February 24th from 6 to 7 p.m. This is a great opportunity to network with the business community. The 13th Piatt County Antique Day is Saturday, March 7th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. 9 stops in Monticello, Atwood, Cisco, and Mansfield will be open for antiquers to visit. I had a real pleasurable activity this afternoon. We had a lady named Georgia Morford who lives out at the villas at Hollybrook, who celebrated her 100th birthday today. And it was really a nice event. I went out and read a proclamation in honor of her 100th birthday. She is quite a story. She was an airline stewardess way back. I guess it must have been when they first started air service. Seriously, back when and she lived in that or worked in that time when you were a flight attendant, when you got to be a certain age, they told you it was time to find another job. They couldn't do that now, but back then they did. So she went back to Millikan University, got her teaching degree and taught in Warrensburg for a long time. So she's lived at the villas since for like 7 years. It was really a nice party. And I was surprised she'd had a glass of wine like everybody else. I get mayoral appointments. At this time, I would like to nominate Jody Stone to serve on the Monticello Police Pension Board. We need someone from the public to serve, and Jody consented. Motion to approve my appointment. Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Hearing or seeing none, may I have a roll call?
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Woodham?
Yes.
Mr. Carey?
Yes.
Ms. Lively?
Yes.
Ms. Yoon?
Yes.
Mr. Burrs?
Yes.
Mr. Broderick? Mr. Kuhn?
Yes.
Passes.
Thank you. Ordinance 2026-20, An ordinance granting a variance to the side yard setback for a detached garage at 307 North Chaucer Boulevard, Monticello, Illinois. Jim?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. The applicants, Michael and Wendy Sikowski, are seeking a variance and a conditional use permit to allow a detached garage with a reduced side yard setback for their property, which is zoned urban residential. They request the side yard setback to be from 10 feet to 3 feet, following the city of Monticello regulations to the side yard setback requirements outlined in RD zone per 153.019D. Granting the variance will not be detrimental or endanger the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare, or the orderly development and improvement of the surrounding properties. The public notice was published in the January 28, 2026 Pike County Journal-Republican. Adjacent property owners were notified, and a public hearing was conducted February 17, 2026 at the Planning and Zoning Board meeting. 2 public comments were made, one anonymously in opposition and the other was in favor, which was from the HOA Architectural Control Committee. We did not receive any comments back from the certified mailings from the adjacent property owners. The supporting documents you have in front of you are the PZB motion, which I think I just said they voted unanimously, and the public notice that was published in January 20th, 2026 edition of the Pike County Journal-Republican, a vicinity and a site exhibit. There's 2 things here. The first is this variance. The second will be the condition of use for the same garage.
Okay, any comments or questions? Is there a motion to approve ordinance 2026-20? An ordinance granting a variance to the side yard setback for a detached garage at 307 North Chaucer Boulevard. I did that just to trick you this time, sorry. Okay. Is there a motion? Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Please.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Woodham?
Yes.
Mr. Carey?
Yes.
Ms. Lively?
Yes.
Ms. Yoon?
yes,
Mr. Burris?
Yes.
Mr. Broderick?
Yes.
Mr. Coon?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Congratulations. Resolution 2026-21, a resolution granting a conditional use permit for a detached garage at 307 North Chaucer Boulevard, Monticello, Illinois. James?
Thank you, Mayor. Again, the owners are seeking a conditional use permit to allow a detached garage. You're allowed a maximum of 1,000 square foot garage in a zoned RD, either attached or detached. So this is allowed by conditional use permit. So they are seeking this conditional use to allow for, they'll end up with a total of 960 square feet. Public notice was published January 28, 2026, Pike County Journal-Republican. Adjacent property owners were notified, and a public hearing was conducted on February 17, 2026 PZB meeting. The same 2 comments were received, both I'm taking in regards just to the structure itself. So again, the architectural committee gave it its approval, and one anonymous said they were not in favor. We did not receive any comments from the certified mailings or from the legal posting we put in the Pike County Journal-Republican. So it's recommended the city council discuss and approve resolution 2026-21, a conditional use for a detached garage at 307 North Chaucer, Monticello, Illinois, as submitted at today's meeting.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Is there a motion to approve resolution 2026-21?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments, questions? Have a roll call, please.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Woodham?
Yes.
Mr. Carey?
Yes.
Ms. Lively?
Yes.
Ms. Yoon?
yes,
Mr. Burris?
Yes.
Mr. Broderick?
Yes.
Mr. Coon?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. The Sangamon Valley CEO presentation has been postponed until March the 9th, okay? They couldn't get students because there's too many activities this evening. I think the regional tournament maybe started. Is that true? Alderman's report, start with Mike.
Yeah, I mean, community lost a great advocate this weekend in Steve Hoffman. He was a great asset as a member of the city council. He, was at every city council meeting when he was with the Pike County Journal-Republican. He was at every school board meeting. He was every county board meeting. He didn't live in Monticello, but he might as well have because he was a great advocate. And so it's a big loss.
Yeah.
Eric?
Nothing this evening.
Nothing more to add to that.
Elaine? Thomas? Nothing, Mayor. Ryan?
It's funny that Mr. Piercy was here tonight because it was just last night. My father-in-law and I were out driving around and we had to go out to pregame. We were coming from the square and we went through that same intersection that he's talking about. And I had to yell at my father-in-law to stop because we couldn't see the yield sign. And that got me thinking like, it's kind of a sketchy spot. So I agree with Mr. Piercy. It's not a bad idea to look into that and see if it validates, moving forward with at least the studies. So.
Thank you.
No, sir, nothing tonight.
Nothing tonight, Cole? No. Andrea? Okay. Silence is golden. Police chief's report.
Really just a couple things. We've been kind of working hand in hand with Pike County Mental Health for a little bit. We're coming out with blue envelopes for those on the autism spectrum. We'll be giving those out to high school kids that are driving in the life skills class. They'll be available at mental health at our office. And pretty much we're just for neurodivergent drivers. They can put their driver's license, proof of insurance registration, things like that in this bright blue envelope. That way it gives the officer that may pull them over a little heads up on the fact that they may not, hold eye contact. They may be very nervous. Some external stimulus, the flashing lights, things like that, that will trigger maybe some sort of response that we aren't used to. That blue envelope will be a tell that they can give to us. The state actually passed this January 1st. However, like anything that the state of Illinois does, they said, yeah, we'll approve it, but it's up to the Secretary of State to get something done. I am not going to wait 6 to 12 months to do that. We worked very well with Tony Kirkman. The staff there gave us a few ideas, so we'll be getting those made up hopefully in the next couple of weeks and getting them pushed out. We're working on a few other things mental health wise, because anywhere from kids and adults and everywhere in between, we're seeing quite a tick in mental health cases. So we want to get ahead of that probably in March or April before Mental Health Month in May.
Thank you. Any comments or questions of the chief? City Administrator's report, Mr. Summers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would concur with Alderman Kuhn. That is quite a loss for Steve Hoffman. It was not uncommon for him to be in City Hall to talk to Callie Jo McFarland or myself or other staff, and I thought he did a tremendous unbiased reporting of city, county, other municipalities throughout Pike County. So yeah, I was shocked to hear that news. So that's a sad loss. I'm glad everybody's here tonight. Mayor Stoner asked that I give an update tonight to the city council in regards to a certain block in the downtown area. It's bounded by the north, Livingston Street. It's bounded on the east by Charter Street, on the south, Washington Street, and on the Market Street, West Washington Street area. I know some of you have been contacted about or from some of the tenants and or property owners. So Mayor Stoner asked that maybe this would be a good opportune time to give an update on some of these concerns that have been voiced to you, the elected officials. So I asked staff, Callie and Chief Bross and Jim and Clayton Dobson. We met, I don't know, last Friday morning or something, and talked about some of these issues, and I got, I'm grateful that we've got decades and decades of institutional knowledge at our fingertips with staff, Chief Bross. So as a collective, we kind of went through and talked about 5 or 6 things that have come up. Either internally to staff from those tenants or property owners, or have contacted you, the elected officials. So I would ask Callie to join us tonight and Jim to stick around. Obviously, Chief Ross to add to the discussion as I kind of go over my Cliff Notes version. So first, streetscape project. We've talked about that in the past in open session. We've talked about it internally for years. The first streetscape project was done in 2000. This particular block of Washington Street was absolutely avoided of all of those improvements because of the encroachments. If you remember, they were daunting second-story structures that hung out over the sidewalks. The buildings were, let's say the safety was questionable. If you remember, there was a Boeing wall on the very far west end of that building that luckily it never fell into Market Street. We were able successfully to discuss that with the property owner, and that wall was remedied, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. So they have made building improvements. Prior to those improvements, I think safety was an issue of doing any sort of improvement in that area. So the complaints or concerns that we have heard and council has brought up are the accessibility issues. That's the one block that still has 3-4 sets of steps coming in and out of it. The primary goal of these improvements is to make the downtown ADA accessible and not just beautification. And so just to fix a cracked sidewalk that's not a trip hazard, that's not what we're trying to do here, but it's to make it ADA accessible. The city is not obligated to do this, but we recognize the importance of downtown and accessibility to all. The city intentionally did not consider these areas, like I mentioned before, because of those encroachments and safety concerns. Now that those have been remedied, the city began steps toward the streetscape project for the north side of this West Washington block. If you recall, the council approved $100,000 for preliminary engineering and cost opinion last year. Construction and construction engineering to be estimated at nearly $1 million. Construction's about $750,000. Plan moving forward is for Ms. McFarland to apply for an ITEP grant this coming fall. That is through the Illinois Department of Transportation, Illinois Transportation Enhancement Program, ITEP. If awarded, construction will not start until summer of 2027 at the earliest. If the city has funds, if the city council approves it. Callie, I think 80-20 grant, so it's a reimbursable grant. Okay. So we could get 80% refunded back at the end of the project. If these improvements are made, the parking along the north side of Washington will be reduced by approximately 50% due to the change from diagonal parking to parallel parking. We will get into the parking issues that we have heard or have been voiced to you. Parking has been an issue in the downtown area of late. This will reduce the amount of parking stalls. Construction is estimated to take 10 weeks, 2 to 3 months. Business access will be disrupted. It will look like a war zone down there. What you witnessed on Main Street was peanuts to what you will see down there. But every attempt, we did it on the south side, every attempt, the contractor did a great job on the south side, making every attempt to get access into the buildings. I think a lot of them, all but maybe one, have fortunately have access from the alley behind their properties. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of the streetscape project. Preliminary engineering was done. It looks like ramps, landings, upper landings with ramps, steps, bumping the curb out, getting parallel parking in there. It looks doable. The engineers also went inside of the buildings to the basements to see what kind of issues they might incur when you start ripping out concrete and digging for wall. Is the building going to stay where the building is at currently? So a lot of work has been done on site with our consulting engineer. Did I leave anything out on streetscape specific? Any questions on that possible project in the future? Handicap parking. Seems that there's been concerns with that of late. Complaints that there aren't enough ADA stalls, or I want an ADA stall in front of my current business. Currently, 7 stalls are provided around the square. Most intersections have 2 ADA compliant handicap stalls, except Dairy Queen does not have one in front of their business, but every other corner has 2 ADA ramps or accessibility. I think there was a hairstylist actually came up and public participated, voicing concern and complaint about not having a handicap stall in front of her rental property. There's 2 stalls on that corner. There are literally 2 handicap stalls on that corner, a half a block from her door. We've talked to the design engineer, and he reiterated what we already knew. Placing a handicap stall in a parallel parking spot is nearly impossible when you take into account the allowable slopes to, what is it, 2%, or it's minimal slope. You have to bump everything out a little bit further from the buildings to make it work. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's nearly impossible to put a handicap stall in a parallel parking space. Handicap stalls will take up 2 regular parking stalls. So if you want to add handicap stall, there's the stall they park in, and then the diagonal stripe next to it. That's 2 stalls. Parking. There's a ton of parking downtown. There's, I don't know, 4 or 5 municipal lots. There's parking available in most instances. And one of our concerns is what you offer one business, there might be 2 or 3 or 4 other businesses that want that consideration for them. And the business, we just heard, unfortunately, Hartfield bookstore is closing its doors. That business may not be there. We hope it's there forever. But that owner, that tenant, may close those doors next year, 2 years, 5 years. So I guess be cautious of what you do for one block, be ready to do for others. Had an incident earlier this year with a Pike County employee wanted a handicap stall. And if we decided internally that, we can't do that, we have to enforce our codes and ordinances. And you can park in a handicap stall for 2 hours, and that's kind of the rules. But once you do offer that to one, be ready to offer it to everybody. I think anything else on handicap stalls?
I think the only thing I would add is, you mentioned the 7 on the square. There's actually several ones off the square as well. So if somebody were not interested or you see those 7 taken, there are other ones in either municipal lot D or down on Charter or down on Independent. I mean, there's other ones around downtown.
Yeah.
And it's not feasible for kids to have a handicap spot because then it's in front of every business, there's 2 spots gone. By the time you get around, it's always out of handicap spots.
Yeah.
So.
And just to reiterate, Terry, you said the parking issue, I would correct that to perceived parking issue. I have all the numbers on how many marked spaces we have that are monitored by time limits, and there's just as many unmarked ones, all within a certain area. It's becoming a thing where I actually had a local teacher provide an overlay of your average walking space for students. Did this. He's a teacher here in Monticello. An overlay of our downtown. He put a Walmart, the footprint of a Walmart over it, which is our downtown's about a third if you consider a parking lot for a Walmart and the whole footprint of the building, and then the mall. So that was interesting to see that he had his students do that. And so it's perceived that, yes, it's a block or 2. And I get if you have mobility issues, that's a challenge as well. But just because there's not parking on one side doesn't mean there isn't on another side. Now, yes, we can do a much better job signing our parking areas. I always tell, working with the downtowns I work with, I always say, if there's a parking issue, that's a good thing. That means there's people coming to downtown. There's things to do, places to see, places to work. It is still a problem, but, it seems to be just one of those constant complaints that we hear lately about. So I'll let you know.
Yep.
Can I ask a question? The Moore lot, it seems like all those, they're reserved. We don't see anybody in that. What's the status? Do we own that lot or?
That's a private.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was when the council made that agreement with the owners now, it was for that lot as well.
Okay.
And so then a lot of those reserve spaces are for Christie Clinic as part of their lease.
Okay.
Yeah. Good question. Thanks, Kelly. Next topic, extend time limit parking to 4 hours. 2 hours isn't enough to get my hair and nails done and go to the glass blowing company and then go down to Willow Tree and shop and get an ice cream at Dairy Queen. It's just not enough hours. This is where there's a lot of merit to the institutional knowledge. Additional 4-hour parking. This will encourage Piatt County employees working at the courthouse to park around the courthouse all morning, move their car, and then occupy another parking spot all afternoon. That will happen. And some business owners will do the same thing in front of their building. We've seen it for years and years. We have complaints from business owners, tenants, that cars haven't moved in 2 hours. So extended time parking, parking it is what it is, and it's a perceived issue, like Callie said. But we believe it does not warrant 4-hour parking, creating more issues than solving. 15-minute loading zones. This again would cause a reduction in parking stalls. We had somebody sent I should have put the photograph on the TV. They thought they had a picture of a FedEx van pulled up near their building and was going to unload the FedEx trucks blocking a crosswalk. Blocking a crosswalk is illegal and strictly prohibited. Can't do it. Everybody else around the square manages to unload from the street for a short time while allowing traffic to maneuver around. You can go by Fast Print, East End, Legends, Main Street Pub, Dairy Queen, the list goes on and on and on. It happens maybe daily. If you drive by and there's a Pete McFeeters at the East End, will be unloading even an ice truck. We'll pull up there. Traffic can go around him and he's there for 5-10 minutes. Unloads the ice, alcoholic beverages, whatever. It is doable. Legends, I think they've been loading from Market Street, but Fieldhouse would unload from Washington Street, and the bump out improvements on the south side of Washington Street, that was taken into account in the design. Your pavement width is X, you got a 11-foot lane for tractor trailer, semi. There's still room for a car to maneuver around. That was part of the design. So 15-minute loading zones. Anything else? Rob, Callie, any questions on loading zones?
I have a comment. So we know that we've had, my sister included here complaining about that. And I also think that you have to take into account some of the locations, either businesses or they have the options to unload in a different place. Where they're there on that corner, they can't come in through the back alley. FedEx, that is. So the only place they can unload is right there on that corner, and it does block spaces. And I don't think it's a bad thing to take a couple parking spots to allow the people, because now we have Kayla McConkey, who's now moved into Cox's old building on that side. So they have to have a space where they're going to be able, because that road is so narrow there by Subway, they're going to have space, and so it's not just, I think looking at it like we're taking two spots where somebody could be, whereas we have very profitable businesses and they are in the middle of the intersection. So I think allowing them a couple spots is not bad when you consider in the summertime and the fall, all of the spaces that are being given for the outside parklets on the pub and in front of 3R in the Mexican restaurants. Because the fact is, once those things get set up, and if we go ahead and do all of the accommodations for ADA for the businesses on the north side, I mean, and you reduce the parking spots by 50%. I mean, that's a significant reducing of parking availability. So do we want people to come to the downtown knowing that they're going to find a spot? Do we want to encourage the business owners to, yes, there's a spot here for you to have UPS or FedEx unload your things? I don't think that's such a bad thing.
If I may say, as I drive Piatran, I deliver people on that street. I pick up, when David Cox was around, I pick him up in a wheelchair there. Our sweet lady who was the hairdresser dropped people off at hers. And he's right. People can get around that big bus sitting halfway the road. There's room to get around. I think our problem will be if we give 2 spots for delivery for that corner. He's saying the same thing, that every other corner is going to want it. And then they're going to be complaining that there's not enough spots to park. So we're just going to be in this whole thing. When it's possible, it's doable, it's just not comfortable. Does that make sense?
Yes, but you're talking about plugging up the sidewalks so people can't get in. So specifically to that spot. So if FedEx is parked there, people can't walk through it. So
That to me is the driver issue blocking the thing. That's not a city issue. That's the driver issue. And maybe our parking guy might catch that sometime and talk to the drivers. That parking, he just stated, parking in the crosswalk is not good. But down that block, there's plenty of places to stop and unload. You may park somebody in for 15 minutes.
I would argue you're not looking at just two spots. You have to have ingress and egress, so a way in and a way out that's safe. That is not blocking an ADA crosswalk. So that would be something to keep in mind for. Also, we have given them the option of parking on the courthouse side of Washington Street to load and unload if they so see fit. I've looked past the few years of traffic accidents, none have been involved with UPS, DHL, or FedEx on the courthouse.
And there's plenty of room. I mean, because when the courthouse, they'll bring the big van up or whatever, and they park it there, and they might be there for a while, and it never slows traffic. So there's no reason that FedEx or UPS couldn't park on that inside corner there.
And I know, convenience is a thing. Kudos to Mr. McFeeters. He walks his bottles all the way from the east end to the dumpster at the VFW.
That's true.
I mean, the guy gets his steps in several times.
I think both knees have been replaced.
Yeah. His knees are probably in better shape than mine.
But he still traverses down there.
Yes.
Well, and Rob, you've mentioned, and I've communicated this with the businesses too, if they have something they personally need to unload into their business, Rob doesn't have a problem. That's why we designed that parking width that wide. You pull over to the side, you drop it, just turn your flashers on,
Yeah.
drop your stuff, and then move your vehicle.
30, 60 seconds isn't a big deal
Or
to
even
drop and go.
5 minutes type
But
thing.
even that, yeah. There's worse things in life that we worry about.
Well, and I know I'd heard it brought up before about the parklets thing. I may be biased to them because we built them and they're beautiful, but like I know there are people who, like my wife included, do you want to go out to dinner tonight? Can we sit outside? Yes, I guess. Like, I mean, so as much as they take away spaces, I don't think they're deterring anybody because once those come out, it seems like those businesses get far busier
Yeah.
outside.
And we are very intentional and we're not going to issue a parklet if it's not used regularly. Now, if the last year we had so many 90+ degree days, they can't control the weather. People aren't going to want to sit outside if it's going to be super hot. So, we ask for a little grace in that instance because we hear that complaint too. It's like, no one's sitting out there. Well, the last week was 110 heat index, so I wouldn't want to sit out there either. So we try and, try and be all things to all different kinds of businesses so that we can create a better atmosphere and environment for our community. It's just, it's very difficult to please everyone. So.
The current parking enforcement official is not here, but a former one is. And when I say blocking a crosswalk is strictly prohibited, I will guarantee you that individual will verify that. I think a beautification crew, City of Monticello, beautification crew was either warned or ticketed for blocking a cross, you don't, it's strictly prohibited. I think loading and unloading is doable. I think if you do it for that block, then again, these four walls wants to load and unload 15-minute park. There's 2 more, or 3 more, or 5 more, or 7 more, 9 more gone. And the parklets are what the parklets are.
And even back to that when it's fast print, there's the FedEx and UPS pickup. And they're there a bit. Now I've sat behind them to buy a tram. But it's not forever. It's just a bit of time and just patience.
Yeah. Winter weather operations. This has been brought up by some folks. Oh, I guess I want to start with, the city is not obligated to clear the downtown sidewalks from snow and then put down salt. We are not obligated in any way to do that. The city performs removal and salting after a 2-inch snowfall, and then it is on the tenants, owners' responsibility to keep maintained. Callie, one of her roles, responsibilities at the city is to be that liaison to the business community. And I can testify that Callie does a tremendous job of corresponding to all tenants and property owners. And the snow removal operations is blasted out ahead of winter, during winter, ahead of a 12-inch snow event, you name it. If you're not familiar with how other communities do that, Champaign-Urbana, they will fine the owner for not removing after 24 hours of snowfall. So it's on the owner to do it, and then you get fines if you don't do it. We do not want to operate that way, and we definitely want to promote our downtown area and business. You see Ryan Frazee doing it this year. It's a tractor, the deck's been removed, it has a broom on the front, salt spreader on the back. He might spend all day, 7, 8, 9 hours doing those sidewalks and the alleys. I thought they looked really well this year as far as clean. We did add the sidewalk west of Market Street that leads to that pedestrian crossing at Washington and Market. We added that to this year's program because there's 2 municipal lots on the west side of Market Street. So it was brought to our attention by one of the tenants on this block of Washington Street. And yeah, that makes sense. We went down and removed the snow and put down some salt. We'll tell you that during that occasion, there were the Walgreens and the jewelry shop, inadvertently, I believe, that's where they piled their snow. So I think our public works director talked to the company that does their snow removal, and they understood we won't pile our snow on that corner. So we did add that. IDOT, that's an IDOT road. So IDOT will oftentimes throw snow back up onto that sidewalk on the east side of Market by Legends, by the municipal parking lot D. So that may get plowed. IDOT may throw snow up there unbeknownst to us, or after we just go through there and remove the snow. So we'll try to keep an eye on that. Any other questions or comments on the winter weather operations? I thought they did a bang up job this year.
I want to add one thing. So having done that job, it's particularly difficult to get the snow off the sidewalks if it's going to snow for a long event, as the last 2 big ones we had, because they got to keep up with it. They got to move it. They got to move it. They got to move it. But what you notice, what different about snow operations on the square is we remove that snow. It doesn't just get plowed to the side, it gets removed. So it's helpful when the business owners can cut, paths out to the parking, because it's indicative of what it is. That machine's only so wide, it's going to clear a path that wide. There's posts and there's signs and there's all kinds of things in the way where it's going to be that path. It's great we do it. We can get a couple of passes on the alleys, but again, we can't remove it with that tractor. We're just pushing it to the side, as opposed to what we do out in the street, whereas we actually remove it and pile it up, haul it away. And I don't know, that's my 13th year watching it, and I thought they did a good job. I know it's difficult at best. The longer the snow goes, the more cumbersome it is on the staff. And it's just what it is. So that they keep up with it. They pay attention to the time the business is open as opposed to when it starts snowing. So I hope everybody appreciates that. I know you guys all do, but it's something that, hey, when did the snow start? If it started at, 8 o'clock in the morning, well, they probably won't fool with it until closer to the end of the day because there's not enough there to fool with. It's always changing. It's a moving target, but I just wanted to add that because I thought, like I said, even under my watch, I thought they did pretty good this year. Kept it clean.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job this year. All right, a couple more real quick. Garbage in this area. Just some background information. A new property owner deliberately moved the dumpsters that were in that municipal parking lot D. They used to be on the southeast corner of that municipal parking lot. New property owner moved in, made some tremendous improvements to the property, and middle of August, when you got rotten mayonnaise from Subway sitting below your newly improved space. I get it. In August, that it can get rancid, right?
Mhm.
So he wanted them over there on Market Street side of municipal parking lot D. The city did not want those anywhere near Illinois Route 105 or Market Street. So we had 5 different dumpsters in that parking lot, taking up, I don't know, 3 or 4 spaces in that corner or more. So the city included a compromise location into the design and reconstruction of that parking lot. If you'll notice, there's the trash enclosure in the middle to serve the entire block, and it actually serves Legends, utilizes that trash enclosure, those containers in there. And obviously, Legends doing that, there's no one of those dumpsters, Legends or Fieldhouse used to have 4 or 5 dumpsters out there on Market Street and stuff blowing out of them and so on and so forth. So with doing that trash enclosure where we did, it was best for all parties involved, including Fieldhouse, Legends there on Market Street. The city engaged with Republic Services for these commercial dumpsters. It's been a huge improvement. The Republic Services had a driver who's no longer employed on a Monday, didn't run his route. So those dumpsters sat in that trash enclosure all weekend, supposed to get picked up Monday morning. The driver that's no longer with Republic Services didn't run his route. I don't know what Tony's title is, but he's high up in Republic Services. Personally called me Monday afternoon apologizing, and they were picked up Tuesday morning. The ground around the dumpsters inside the enclosure, there was cardboard boxes strewn around, trash everywhere. The driver actually removed all the loose debris inside the trash enclosure, not only what was in the dumpsters. The dumpsters for this block have continuously been abused for as long as, for decades. When we were doing the construction of municipal parking lot D, we put 2 dumpsters, 4 yard, 2 yard.
Mm-hmm. 4 and 2.
What were the alley? 2 yards.
I'm sorry, 2 2s up at the top.
So in the alley, we had 2 2-yard dumpsters, and then on Livingston Street, we had 1 4-yard dumpster. There were times, and we had somebody come in and complain about garbage overflowing and debris on the ground, and it was a horrible situation. I can tell you that after that meeting, the police chief went and got a city 1-ton dump truck and went up there. I think Eric drove by, offered to help. Chief Bross got a 1-ton truck emptied, the top half of the garbage out of those dumpsters and then went and removed it. 8 o'clock at night on a Monday after a council meeting. I can also tell you the 4-yard dumpster down on Livingston Street was half full. They could have walked the garbage down that half block to Livingston and gotten rid of their garbage instead of tossing it on the ground. So it is what it is. We have to deal with it. There's been construction debris in there. There's been private residential people, owners and tenants putting their private stuff in there, not breaking down cardboard. We got pictures of that time that I just spoke, that the driver missed the Monday, he didn't run his route. There were full cardboard boxes in the dumpsters and on top of the dumpsters and on the ground in the dumpsters. Instead of breaking the cardboard boxes down, I mean, we all do that at our homes. We do it in a recycling tote. You break the boxes down. For some reason, that does not get done often.
Terry, was that the situation where these things were not broken down? When they were broken down, if somebody had lifted the lid on the dumpster, it wasn't even half full. It could have been taken care of.
That was another instance. There's 4 dumpsters in that trash enclosure. And one time, we saw that they were overflowing. Well, they weren't, the back 2 dumpsters weren't overflowing. Somebody put an unbroken down cardboard box on top of the lid. Instead of breaking down the box, opening the lid and putting it inside. So when the first person put an unbroken down box on top of the lid, the second person did the same, the third person did the same, and so on and so forth. And then the ground's littered with unbroken down cardboard boxes. That was a different situation. Yes, thank you for reminding me of that. So Callie has sent out, again, correspondence, as she does, that, just, it is for your commercial establishment or the renters upstairs. It is not your personal dumpster. And please break down your cardboard boxes like everybody else does. So we'll see how that kind of pans out. And then another concern that I wanted to talk about, and this is the last one, I promise, but I'm going to turn it over to Chief Bross, and that's the issue of the large 30-yard dumpsters out in the right-of-way. Please understand the city of Monticello encourages property owners to improve their buildings with a business improvement grant or a building improvement grant funded through the business district money. So we encourage folks to improve their buildings for obvious reasons. So I know one lady came in and was upset that another dumpster was in front of her business. And that particular individual in that dumpster, I think, has been remedied, at least for the meantime. And then, do you have some stats for us, Rob?
So for this area, right around Charter and Washington, in about 2.25 years, we've had 10 permits for dumpsters, lifts, along those lines. There's been quite a few extensions, it looks like. And then if you remember the lift that was we had so many complaints on this, we actually passed an ordinance to address it in, I believe it was March of 24, stating if you put your equipment on the city right away without a permit, we can impound it, we can cite it, and remove it. Just for the mere fact that it was becoming such an issue, we were getting so many complaints from the businesses in that area, from the drivers in that area, we had to actually pass an ordinance to cover that. With that being said, Ms. Boyd complained about the dumpster in front of her facility. It was, I think, at the city Christmas party. I got a call that there was a dumpster issue. We kind of came up with the idea where the dumpster would be placed. I spoke with the workers out there and the gentleman that was dropping off the dumpster on where we expected that to be. We had a few issues in January of a permit, I believe, not being either approved or we were having some sort of issue with that. So I sent an email explaining exactly what would happen, the possible consequences of that. There was a dumpster there that should have been picked up on February 13th. It was not. It was there Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I know because I drove by it. Tuesday morning, a citation was issued for it. Then Wednesday, a citation was issued for it. Sent notification. We were told that someone forgot to get a permit or get an extension on it. And then the dumpster was picked up on that Thursday. So hopefully there's a lot more communication from people who want to have dumpsters. And normally it's not a problem. I think Mr. Matthews put a dumpster at the old Cox Law office and had it gone within 4 days. Had to dump or had to drop it, I think Thursday or Friday, worked through it, had it picked up the Monday following, well within the permitted time. I don't like writing tickets unless you're a solicitor. I don't like writing those tickets. But I don't like writing other tickets for things like this that can be completely avoided by communication and just, hey, stick to the right way, because we do not want this. I mean, some of these, it was a 2-week permit and then an extension for another 2 weeks. So you have a dumpster downtown for an entire month. That's a little much on some of these.
My concern for that particular instance, you know, Rob's looking at, is there a parade coming down? We've had, was it the rodeo parade?
Last year, yes.
Last year, they didn't get a right-of-way permit, some contractors working on a building. And their actual activity spooked the horse, which caused an issue. So we need to know these things in advance so our police chief can say, oh, we got a homecoming parade this weekend. That cannot be there because they won't make that turn. So it's not a right-of-way permit. It has no cost to it. It's just to give us a heads up of, do we need extra barricades out there? You know, there's a reason behind it. It's not just to be a thorn in the building owner's side. So.
Anything else? Chief, Callie? Jim?
Nope.
Yeah. Any questions from council? I mean, that was a lot to swallow there.
Do you have that all in a packet? All that information in one place where we can say, hey, go see somebody downtown. They'll hand you a packet. This is what's been discussed. This is why we do what we do. And this is why we're not changing what we do. Does that make sense? Would there be a possibility to have something where, like, we go into somebody's shop, not picking on anybody, and get questions? Well, now I've got ideas. If there's a packet, I could direct them to.
Yeah.
There is a spot, I Google search City of Monticello right-of-way permit. It's attached to our website, explains what you need it for.
Yeah, the right-of-way permit's online, but all this other stuff is probably not online, but.
Is that difficult to do online?
We can put something together. Oftentimes, I can't, so I really, I can't compliment Callie enough. She goes way above and beyond to communicate with every 100 businesses in downtown that she communicates with often.
Yeah.
She will go to after hours meetings, early morning meetings, all of that. And then the electronic correspondence. I shared electronic correspondence of one of the property owners with an alderman that, I mean, from March through November, of last year, it spelled out a lot of this stuff, the streetscape stuff.
Yeah.
In great detail. And those folks that have reached out to you and I don't mean to be disrespectful here, but those folks that have reached out to you have, I would bet $100 bill have already spoken to city staff.
Absolutely.
And they didn't like the answer they were told. So they set up here or they corner you or email you. That's usually how that goes down.
I fully understand that and I fully appreciate that. And I understand Kelly works hard. This is what I do know about people. We only hear what we want to hear.
Yep.
So they get an email and they skim through it and not understand what we're.
Yes.
So I'm not saying, be clear. I'm not saying anything that the city's done wrong. You guys have worked very hard. I get that. I just like having an idea where I can go, okay, we talked about this. This is where you go to get, this is the answer. This is where you go get the answer. This is why it is. And then they can try and read it again and maybe they'll get understanding that time. Now, back to the other thing about the ADA thing. I heard what you said when you said it's not incumbent on us to do it. But however, when we did it on the other side, I think we took the incumbents on ourselves. When we did it all around the rest of the square, and didn't do that one, then it is on us.
We didn't do it because of the condition of the building.
Right.
And now that we've got that condition.
Right. I understand. But I'm like, it's ours.
The thing that, when I got to thinking about this and I was talking to someone about it in the past, when a single business owner comes to us and says, I want this, here's what I want. We have groups within our business communities where they go together to see what's best for a community. When a business owner comes to me and says, I don't like the parklets because they take up too many parking spaces. Well, what do you think Three Ravens has to say about those parklets? What do you think the Mexican restaurant has to say, or any of the other businesses that have them? Do you think they want to get rid of them? No, because it's a benefit to them. So just because it's not benefiting one doesn't mean it doesn't benefit the whole. And I think that's where we get into this tricky situation of, it's been hinted on many times tonight. When you accommodate one, everybody else is going to want to get involved. So it's much more important to me when the whole group comes. And when Monticello Main Street comes and says, here's what the group's thought, because like I said, everybody wants the best, everybody wants this, but they're not willing to understand that it may have a negative impact on them. Like, for example, we have, and this is just the craziness of it, we have some businesses coming to us saying, we need 4-hour parking. And we have other people coming to us saying the 2-hour is not being enforced. People are staying longer. Well, so we got to we can't make both people happy.
Right.
So it's what's good for the group.
Uh-oh.
So funny thing is I have businesses that will complain about 2-hour, but also report people not moving. So you can't have it both ways. Rodney, we as part of, and I know she's on the call too, as part of our relationship with Main Street and Chamber, anytime a new business comes into the community, we make that contact. We actually probably flood them with info, which I get, it's hard to absorb all of it. But also we do send out quarterly updates, particularly to downtown for every business owner. And it'll cover, hey, we're going into outdoor weather season. So parklets are going to show up. If you want to have an event, here's your right of way form. Make sure we have it so we know what's happening. Here are parades coming up. So maybe don't have work coming on. We probably bombard them with information and I get it. It's sensory overload. So, I think that's a good idea to, again, remind them where they can look, who they can talk to. And there was another point that I was going to make.
It was going to be.
So this is not the last portion of the square for our streetscape. We actually have a long range plan for our downtown for areas that we can address. Where it stopped and what we need to do to get that next leg going. So I think that just with the density of in conglomeration of businesses on West Washington, it's obviously, it's a huge need anyway, but it's also something we postpone in terms of a need. So I think we're going to do what we can to get it going.
Yeah. And just to reiterate, I have full confidence in city staff. You guys are doing an awesome job. And I don't mind taking questions from the public. I do appreciate also this time, and for lack of a better word, being lip loaded. So I know what our party line is. So I lip loaded, I can spit it right out. So thank you for that, is what I'm trying to say, in a weird Rodney way.
But anybody that wants information can contact city staff.
Yeah, but it's easier when somebody wanders into your store. Let's talk to him. I get it. I just would like to, I'm glad I got information.
Yeah. But they can get any information that they want, if they want to seek it. And the other thing is, if they don't want to believe it, there's nothing we can do about it. So that's just the way life is going to be.
And many of you, especially when you came on to the council, we always make a comment, we're always the last to know, and that's not untrue a lot of the time. So if you're hearing anything about an issue or a problem, we don't troll the socials to know what's going on out there, whether it's a business or a resident. So sometimes we don't know. So.
And if you have someone inquire, tell them who to call Callie or call.
I don't want to sick anybody on Callie.
No, she's good. She's mean. She can do it.
To Callie's point, if you, thank you, Callie. If you hear something on the street, call me, call Callie, call me, and I will direct you we'll get an answer from the Public Works Director who was on site that knows that information, or it's Callie with what she's got going on, or it's Jim or Clay, Chief Bross. I've got the answers at my fingertips with the staff I have.
Excellent.
It's actually, it's a bad problem. It's bad problems that we have. But it's awesome that we have, everything is growing so much that
Have these problems.
we have these problems. Yeah. Just something to be expected.
Absolutely.
That's all I have.
You did a good job, Gosh, that's twice I've complimented you.
But I do think perception on the parking, we all need to let people know, okay, you might have to walk a block. We've got plenty of places to park.
But people are really exercise based now. So anyway, so walking's not a bad thing.
I know.
I think that the funny thing is it's when you're at Walmart and you park 10 spots back, you don't think anything of it. It's a straight line. But if you park on the other side of the block and have to walk around, it's just as far.
The whole block.
But oh my gosh, I had to turn, like it seems perfect, so I get it, but at the same time, it's like, it's
Okay. Anything else, Rodney?
No,
You're good?
I'm done. I'm sorry.
Is there anyone have a question or anything before I ask if we're going to adjourn this evening? I'm enjoying this, so maybe we ought to talk a while longer. Anyway, is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? All those in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Don't say it. Okay. The 9th of March. Very well done tonight.